Alright, so as everybody, is talking about Rock Cody Rock, whoever, blah, blah, blah. Bigger question is, what I was like, because we didn't necessarily know that The Rock was going to show up. So now it's a dilemma that they got to deal with. But let's say, they somehow figure it all out. Let's say it's not The Rock at WrestleMania. Let's say Cody gets there. All right, so Cody's there. Question is, does he finish his story? Of course, big answer is yes. Let him finish the story. Don't, yeah, we're good. I was like, just sort of a, kind of thing of, I don't like. I think for actually everybody's sake, like I said, I'm fine with it. I'd be cool if Roman held onto the title until he beats Hogan's record. But I can also understand that just because I'm okay with it, doesn't mean everybody else is. And also, just because that could be the plan. We don't know what H is thinking. But that could be the plan. But at the same time, is that plan bad, good? Like what? Like you're like is that good for the masses? Almost like NFL coach. You have your system, and you're like, I want to do my system. But at some part, if you're losing or people not buying in, you got to figure out: are you willing to stick with what you do, or is it better to figure out what is good for the collective? Now, being Hogan record would be great for WWE. You had a guy last that long, especially be able to keep rating pretty solid. I was like, you get to establish this new era, whether that's Triple H's era in general or this new modern generation. You get you don't erase, but you take off Hogan. Like you can't erase Hogan from the WWE, but also Hogan doesn't have a good taste in everybody's mouth. So, what do people like to do with people of the past that they don't like or did wrong or whatever you want to say? You can't fully erase them, or nor should you. But what you do is if you have somebody over that, then guess what? The first thing that we're going to see, Roman at the top. I was like, guess what? I was like, Bruno Santino. Nobody talks about unless you're just a historian or something like that. Hogan at some point is going to be just that. That at some point, I mean, yes, if you log online and stuff like that and you see all this stuff, yeah. But if you just talking about wrestling in general, at some point it will be so far removed that he will just also be part of history, where you just talk about him in the same light. And then that's where Roman comes involved, because I'm like, if like Roman at the top is going to be basically, it's the same thing in sports. It's like at some point the newer crop comes in and they just put a blanket over the older, that is like this grouping. It's just going to be like Roman Reigns is awesome, and of course he was the longest reigning champion. Right now, in the midst of it, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, they're groaning, and they're like, I'm tired of this. Why can't we have somebody else new? He doesn't even show up. All this stuff, blah blah blah." It's all really kind of just like, yeah, but 5 years from now, it's not gonna be looked at the same way. Like yes, we might, when the older people or the people that do this, all this other stuff, will be like, oh, it was really great for like the first 3/4, and then it just started being like after that. But your overall feeling is going to be like it's great for the most part. That's how it's going to be. Your feeling of it is not going to be. It depends on how it ends. Like I said, and that's why I'm like, Roman can't hold it to beat Hogan record. He can't, because by then it's going to be too much of a sour taste. I was like, if he beats The Rock, it won't be that bad. But I was like, it won't. I think it will enhance it as far as like the the big picture. It will enhance it because everybody will now be like, Roman beat The Rock. People who don't watch wrestling be like, this Roman Reigns beat The Rock. The guy that was in Hobbs and Shaw beat The Rock. That's where that would go. Open up things for WWE. Open up things for Roman. You know, that kind of thing. Cause now he's the big man on campus. Now the wrestling scene of people. It will help be like, oh, it will cement the bloodline in the story and the whole thing. It will do that. Then it's like, what's next? And that's sort of the problem, is that at some point, like, if you hold off for Cody for another year, can you keep Cody hot enough to mean something to beat Roman again? Kind of difficult. I was like, Cody just that good of a guy that I think, yes, him himself will. But I don't know if the story is enough to do that. So that's the problem. Then also, he's ran through the main roster in a way that I'm like, not everybody has gotten 2 shots at him, but it's not going to be as believable. Or it's not going to be like if he faces Sami Zayn again, it's not going to be as hot as when he faced him in Elimination Chamber last year. Kevin Owens has already lost him like 5 times. It can't be like KO can't do it. Drew, with this character that he's doing, maybe, but he's lost to Seth a couple of times too. So what makes you think he's going to lose against Roman? CM Punk is a new encounter, and that'd be intriguing, and that might be one of the ones that you could hold off for. Jey Uso, I think somebody you could hold. I was like, because that was his first real singles match. So how does he look second time, more underneath his belt of being a solo star, this time being able to take on Roman? So that's like 2. I think that's 2 legit ones where you can get the crowd there. Of course, we got Cody, and I think if you say the problem is like to this point is that if you have, because I think that's another year and a half, so probably 2 years, because I was like, you want him to lose at WrestleMania. Are those 3 going to be well enough to hold off for 2 more years when you still got to do all these other matches? Because I was like, Roman's going to be part-time if he wins again. If he beats The Rock, he's going to still be part-time. You know, like if he loses his title or whatever like that, yeah, he'll go away for a good amount of time. But if he beats The Rock, I was like, obviously he's going to be around. But I was like, if you thought this year was bad of him doing contests, it's not going to be any different. Then you start walking into like the younger crop of people on NXT, Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Dragunov. I was like, in 2 years, I was like, you can't build them up in order to face them. Gunther, I was like, I do think that Gunther is somebody that if you did have him do Roman, that is something. Now the problem is like, with all these is if Roman beats him. I don't believe in the whole being buried and all that other stuff. I'm glad that some of those terms are starting to like weed themselves out. They were getting overused or not even knowing the meaning of them. But he beats Gunther, you might have people actually riot. You might have people be like, oh my God, what's better than Vince? Ain't no better than Vince. You might have people like that. So it's like, unless that's the move down, then you can't really do that, man. You can sort of do CM Punk and have him beat CM Punk. You can have him beat Jey Uso again. You can have him beat Cody again. Jay and CM Punk will be fine. Cody might be a little bit, downgraded a bit in the people's eyes. Gunther will cause a riot. After that, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who you could get to make anything interesting for 2 more years. And that I was like, that's a significant problem because because do you want him to lose on the cash in? Like, there's not really routes for him to go, and that's why I was like, you sort of really don't, unless you just want a walking title, you kind of got to pull the trigger on Roman losing this year. If you're not afraid, and that's if you're not if you're not afraid of him losing at a non WrestleMania pay per view, keep the title on him. Cause I'm like he could win at WrestleMania. To me, if you're not scared of doing it at a non WrestleMania show, have The Rock do WrestleMania and then Cody beat him at SummerSlam or something like that, or whatever. But if you only want to do it at WrestleMania, you gotta hold off for like 2 years, and there's just not enough talent, give a fuck, story, whatever you want to say or put, for that to last and everything stays at the height that it is now. Because I'm like, maybe that's what they do, and maybe that's what, like every wrestling, AEW's having their little thing right now. But guess what? You're always going to flip it back up. Roman winning could be the thing that sort of have it take her down. Like, give somebody else a chance to come up. I'm just saying, these are things you got to think about. So, me, fine with Roman. I feel like you can build stories. I was like, cause right now it seems like Solo's still on the side. Jimmy doing Jimmy shit. I don't mind or whatever. I was like, I think it would be better if they gave him a reason of joining the bloodline, like more obvious, But so in this next year, you could start telling the story of Solo not believing your stick anymore. Like, you're not here. Maybe he's getting tired of getting beaten. Whatever you want to say. And and he went to WrestleMania, and he has more like an ass after being like, say, The Rock. And then it's the essential of like, okay, the end of the bloodline done. It's because now he's being that to Solo, and that shit ain't gonna fly. Just saying. But no, for everyone involved, the other 97%, I guess. I was like, I want to give some leeway in there because I was like, there might be 1,000 people that agree with me, or another 1,000 that don't care. But in saying that, Roman gotta lose. Roman has to lose at WrestleMania, or if you're not afraid, a Saudi show or SummerSlam. For the sake of the company, and also I didn't even really think too much, but the locker room, because Roman keeping it means that I'm not gonna have no shot at getting a championship, and I'm like, you may or may not have that already in mind or whatever, just because of reason, it's all. But he's like, if you're like working hard, and you're like, that sort of makes it look like, well, at least somewhere else I might be able to win a championship and come back, and by the time I come back, he ain't got that thing no more. I don't know. It's all thing to consider, all thing to think about, that I ain't got to. I don't get paid for that type of thing. If I did, I was like, I'd do whatever I wanted to and be like, I'll see y'all at the bank. I won't. Because different money levels. But we're on the same money level right now, so I'm sorry. Anyway, do you believe that? I'm not even going to ask if you think Roman should keep the title that long, because you're not. Do you think it's possible to come up with anything creative or anything that will make you keep on tuning in to the Roman storyline? Is probably the better question. Like, is there anything like after, like, if you know he's going to keep it to break the record, is there anything that you're like still like, if he does these 3 matches or these 3 people, or if it's in this type of match or whatever, that I was like, I'll check in for. But it's like, for the other part, I might not. Just let me know. Anyway, acknowledge me until I see you again.